The British countryside has been declared a racist and colonial white space. That's according to wildlife charities. So the Wildlife and Countryside Link, an umbrella group whose members include the RSPCA, the WWF and National Trust, has presented a report to Parliament which claims the perception that green spaces are dominated by white people can prevent people from ethnic minority backgrounds from using green spaces. So, tonight I am asking, is the British countryside a racist and colonial white space? Let me know your thoughts. Email gbviews@gbnews.com, tweet me at gbnews and make sure you take part in our poll. The results will follow very, very shortly. But going head-to-head tonight are human rights lawyer Shoaib Khan and Countryside Alliance spokesperson David Bean. David, thank you very much. Is the countryside racist?
I don't think it is, Patrick. And I think what concerns me when I hear reports such as this is that when organizations spend time and oxygen in calling the countryside racist, in telling people from ethnic minority backgrounds that they won't be welcome if they go into the countryside, then there's an awful danger that they might start to believe it. And that's exactly the opposite of what we want. We want the countryside to be an open and welcoming place for everyone from any kind of background to go and visit, and potentially, if they like what they see, to go and live, to go and make a career and a life out there.
Shoaib, I mean, this is an absolute load of rubbish, isn't it?
No, of course it isn't. And in fact, it's not the first report that said this. Obviously, the Countryside Alliance and others would know more about the history, but just looking at it today, since 2003 at least, so for the past 20 years, every 2 or 3 years, we have reports who said this. And in fact, I was seeing that there was a report actually commissioned by DEFRA, I believe, so the government, 2017 or 2019, which actually had the same findings. So the point is, every time this does come out, every time there is research into this, those people get boycotted, those people get cancelled.
So the racial demographics of rural areas in Britain are 96% white. It's not racist, it just happens to be in Britain, Shoaib.
Well, yes, but that's exactly the point. That's what we need to change then.
What?
That's why it needs to be
good. No, here we go. I want to have this chat. So how do you change the racial demographics of the countryside, Shoaib? Go on.
Well, I don't think we're necessarily talking about changing demographics necessarily. Obviously, long term, that would be a really positive thing. But firstly, just actually encouraging people to actually go there, even just to spend the day there for a brief holiday. And that's the whole point. I don't think we're necessarily talking about, why are most farmers in the UK white? Why aren't there more Asian or black farmers? That's not the point. The point is, even for a day out, why do ethnic minority families
I would argue
potentially,
potentially, David, that there is a bit of racism here. I mean, good grief, if people from ethnic minorities don't want to go to the countryside because they don't want to look at so many white people, that's disgusting.
Well, I agree with Shoaib that it's absolutely a good thing for people to go and visit the countryside, regardless of their background. And I would fully encourage everyone to go and do that. And I think, hopefully he and I can unite in saying to people, be they from ethnic minority backgrounds or others, if you're considering going out and visiting the countryside, acquainting yourself, getting to know it a bit, do that. Absolutely do that. Go and support all of the wonderful rural businesses that we have out there. Go and see the beautiful landscapes, some of the most fantastic landscapes that this world has to offer, and go and enjoy it, because you will find, regardless of your background, that there's a lot to appreciate in it. And, if people don't want to do that, maybe they've got their own reasons for it. That's entirely a matter for them, I would say. But really, the message needs to be, there's so much out there for you to go and see, to enjoy, and please do that.
Shoaib, when was the last time you went to the countryside?
Probably about 2 years ago, to be honest.
Why?
When we actually took because that's the point. To be honest, when a ethnic minority family gets together, going to the countryside, going to the Lake District, Peak District, isn't the first holiday destination that comes to mind. And that's the point. You wouldn't necessarily think, we're going away for a day, that's where we should go. And that's the whole point,
So why not? It's the Lake District. I used to live in the Lake District, okay? It's, by the way, full of Japanese tourists because there's a massive attraction for the Beatrix Potter stuff that there is there, and Wordsworth and all this stuff. So first and foremost, can I just say the idea that the Lake District is a white-only space is nuts and untrue. But so, what do you personally, Shoaib, are you trying to claim that the reason why you don't go to the countryside with your family is because you feel like you're racially excluded?
Well, yes. To be honest, if you are asking me exactly, then yes, and that's the whole point. It's not just me, it's my parents, it's my siblings, it's the children, it's families. Generally, if a whole family is getting together, a Black or Asian family would not necessarily think, yes, the Lake District is the day for us to go and spend the day. And that's the whole point, and that's what this research is looking at. But then the media and others, they cling on to these few phrases that they've used, colonial and racist, and not actually do anything about the report. And the point is, like I'm saying, every few years this comes out. That's the whole point. We need to change the narrative. We need to change the perception. We need to make it more welcoming for people, rather than just shutting down anyone who suggests that that is the case. The point is,
I just don't understand what you want us to do to make it more welcoming. What is it we could possibly... It's the countryside. By definition, it's a load of open fields and spaces. You hardly see anyone half the time you're in the countryside anyway, let alone seeing white people anyway. You just see sheep. You just see cows and fields and hills and lakes occasionally. David, go on. What could you do to make the countryside more welcoming for ethnic minorities? What needs to be done?
Well, the trouble is, Patrick, I kind of find myself agreeing with both of you in that I agree with Shoaib that if there are things that can be done to make the countryside feel more welcoming and open to people, again, regardless of background, because I'm not particularly interested in going down the rabbit hole on race specifically. But equally, I agree with you that it's quite difficult to see what exactly those steps might be. So, I mean, perhaps part of it might turn out to be a marketing scenario. Maybe rural areas need to spend more on more effort, more time on marketing themselves to people in urban areas, because ultimately you've got to go to people where they are. And I think ultimately showing the attractiveness of the countryside and promoting it to people is going to be part of the solution.
I think the marketing is the M6. Get on it, drive up it, and you're in the countryside. Anyway, all right, look, both of you, thank you very, very much. That is human rights lawyer there, of course, Shoaib Khan, and Countryside Alliance spokesperson David Bean. Look, who do you agree with, OK? The claim that wildlife charities have made that the British countryside is a racist and colonial white space. Jane on X says, I believe the charities saying this are racist against white people. I must say, I thought that. I'm sorry, the idea that I can't go to the countryside, it's full of white people. I think that's quite horrendous. Mand on X says, I've been to much of the UK countryside with my Asian family. Not once did we experience any racism, and neither did we give a damn that it was mainly full of white fellow Brits. We actually enjoyed meeting all those white people. These charities need to shut up. Well, it's strong stuff in the inbox there. Your verdict is now in. 5% of you agree that the British countryside is racist and colonial white space. 95% of you say that you disagree. Good. Well done.